Today we have a magazine. This magazine, in this magazine there was an agreement كانت مقابلة between the magazine, this is AW, Art World magazine, Art World magazine, and ER, Mr. Ramaran. Mr. Ramaran. So the magazine will be speaking to Mr. Ramaran about Kate Haring because Kate Haring, as you know, he died. He died in the 1990s because of some disease. So let's start. Mr. Ramadan, this is AW. Mr. Ramadan, what kind of person was Keith Haring؟ ما هو نوع الشخص؟ كيف كان؟ شنو نوع شخصيته؟ Haring liked people. He liked parties, performing. He was an energetic. You can see his energy in his art. His art moves and performs too. Okay, this was so here we have to focus on these words, bold words. إن بالخط العريض هاي الكلمات لازم نركز عليها مهمات. Famous, energetic, graffiti. We have to see what these words are and we have to understand them. Okay, so this is the first word. It's energetic. هو كان energetic معناتها ذو طاقة حيوي مفعم بالحيوي. You can see his energy تقدر تشوف الطاقة مالته in his art وين الفن مالته هو كان فنان هذا كيث هارينج. His moves and performs his art moves and performs too. الارت مالته اللي هو الفن مالته يتحرك لأنه يتحرك ويؤدي أعمال. ترجع magazine, then the magazine will ask him, when did Haring become famous? شو صار famous ومشهور. In 1978 he started to make pictures in New York City. So this is his story. هاي القصة مالته شلون صار مشهور. In 1978 he started to make pictures in the New York City subway. وين كان subway هم تحت الأرض اللي مال القطارات أوكي. كان يرسم جرافيتي كان يرسم على الحيطان في نيويورك. Some people were very upset. كانوا أكو بعض الناس كانوا شوي ضايجين من هذا الأمر. They said this isn't art, this is graffiti. So the people said this is not an art, this is a graffiti. What is meant by graffiti? Graffiti means when somebody writes or draws on or paints on the walls, like on the bridges, like now the people they draw on bridges and like this. But graffiti is an art. It's art too. Unfortunately, graffiti is also an art. So he was artist in either way, whether he was writing in graffiti or he was just drawing. And some people like his art very much. They started to buy his drawings, paintings, and sculptures. We have three important words here: drawings, paintings, and sculptures. Then galleries, معارض, became interested in his art too. By the end of the mid-1980s, Keith Haring was famous around the world. So after he started 78. After in the 80s, after 2 or 3 more years, he became very famous in the world. AW. What is Haring's art about? What does it mean? ماذا يعني فن هارينج؟ عن ماذا يتكلم؟ When people this man ER هو رامرون اللي هو كان دي جي وكان المعرض. When people asked Haring, "What is your art about?" he answered, "You decide." أنت الذي تقرر. His art is funny, energetic, and sometimes angry. It is also political. بعض الأحيان يكون سياسي. His art is about education, freedom, and AIDS, مرض الإيدز. These social issues were very important to Haring. His art is about children too. He worked with kids on many projects. For example, in the late 1980s, he made a large sculpture for Children's Hospital in New York. AW, was Haring different from other artists? Yes, he was. How was he different? Now, let us see how Haring was different. He was different in two ways. First, Haring liked to make art in public places. What is meant by public here? الأماكن العامة. Okay? Like in the subway, he believed هو كان مؤمن أو كان يعتقد بأنه art is for everyone. الفن هو لكل شخص. In the early 1980s, he was famous for his public art. Later, he became famous in galleries and museums. Second, he was different because magazines had ads with his drawings and paintings in them. What's meant by ads؟ أخذناها في المحاضرة موجودة اللي معناتها advertisements معناتها إعلانات. People also bought his art at the two pop shops. At the pop shop there were t-shirts, watches, and buttons. With his art nothing was very expensive. AW, is his art still popular؟ هل الآرت الفن مالته بعد مشهور لحد الآن؟ Yes, it is. Haring died on February 16, 1990, but people still feel his energy in his art. Today, we can see his art all around the world. Some of the money from his art helps AIDS organization and children's organizations. His art still helps people, and if people want to learn more, they can go to www.haring.com. AW interesting. Thank you very much, Mr. Amaran. It was my pleasure. So, this magazine, or in this magazine, there is an interview between two people. One of them is somebody who's famous in the art. They were talking about Haring, okay, and how Haring started to be famous and how he died. Let's go to the next page. In next page, we have here, look again at your prediction. This is for the previous lecture. You have to go back. Number two, read each sentence. Circle the correct answer to complete the sentence. In the early 19th, this is very important. We have a sentence here and we have three options. We have to choose only one option that completes the sentence. In the early 1980s, Haring's art was in the dash of New York City, in the hospitals, museums, or subways. You have to choose only one. How we can know? We have to go back in the early 1980s. If we go back here to see, look, in the mid 1980s, it was famous around the world. Okay, so this is in the mid 1980s. In early 1980s, he was famous where? In the museum. Look, he was famous for his art later in the museum. So the answer here is museums. Okay? Harun's art was about social issues, his family, or famous people. So of course it was for social issues. So this is the answer. And this is also a very important example. These words are very important. We have to translate them into Arabic and we have to know the meaning of each word. What's meant by ads? We have said advertisements, إعلانات, energy, معناتها طاقة, money, you know money, social issues, قضايا اجتماعية, and decide يقرر, graffiti, فن الرسم على الحائط أو الكتابة, public العامة أو العام. You can see his dash in his arts. يمكنك أن ترى فراغ في فنه. ماذا نرى في فنه؟ نرى الإنرجي. So here we have the answer is energy. Okay, let's go. Some people said his work was just dash and not really art. بعض الناس قالوا أن عمله كان فراغ لكن ليس فن بالحقيقة. قالوا أنه graffiti. 3. First, he was famous for his dash art. He was famous for his dash art. كان مشهور بماذا؟ ما هو النوع من الart? He was famous for some public art. العام. He made dash for magazines. ماذا صنع للمagazines؟ ماذا صنع؟ He made ads. صنع إعلانات للمagazines. People ask, what is your art about? Harry answered, you decide. أنت تقرر. Dash like AIDS and freedom were important to Herring. اللي هنا social issues. القضايا الاجتماعية كالإيدز والحرية وغيرها. Some of the dash from the pop shop helped AIDS organization and children's organization. Some of the money, of course, بعض من المال. Okay, so this is important to you, and you have to understand each and every word here. Thank you for listening, and see you in next lecture.